Breaking news. South African troops surrender in DRC after suffering heavy losses. President Ramaphosa's statements called into question. Johannesburg, February 2024. South Africa has found itself at the center of an international embarrassment after reports emerged that its troops, deployed under the SADC mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, SAMIDRC, suffered severe setbacks at the hands of the M23 rebels, a situation that directly contradicts President Cyril Ramaphosa's earlier claims. Ramaphosa's false narrative, Rwanda is to blame. President Ramaphosa took to social media to announce that 13 South African soldiers had been killed in combat, blaming the losses on an escalation by the M23 rebel group and alleging the involvement of the Rwanda Defense Force, RDF. His statement painted South Africa's military intervention as a peacekeeping effort aimed at stabilizing the conflict-ridden region. However, his claims quickly fell apart when Rwandan President Paul Kagame issued a direct and scathing response, exposing Ramaphosa's distortions and outright falsehoods. The Kagame response: exposing the lies. In a strongly worded statement, President Kagame dismantled Ramaphosa's claims, pointing out critical inaccuracies and contradictions in the South African leader's account. Kagame's rebuttal highlighted, checkmark RDF is an army, not a militia, as falsely implied by Ramaphosa. SAMIDRC is not a peacekeeping force, but a direct combat force deployed in support of the Congolese government and its controversial militia allies. The South African troops were not killed by M23, but by their own FARDC allies, contradicting Ramaphosa's claims. South African troops have surrendered and are now requesting food, water, and transport from M23, the very force they were sent to fight. Embarrassment for South African military. Troops wave. White flag, new reports indicate that South African soldiers faced overwhelming resistance from M23 fighters and were forced to surrender. Video evidence suggests that some South African troops, running out of supplies and left without clear command, had to ask M23 for food and safe passage out of the conflict zone. This shocking development has led to widespread public outcry, with many questioning the true purpose of South Africa's involvement in the DRC conflict. South Africans react, "Cupcake lied to us." In South Africa, President Ramaphosa's handling of the situation has drawn sharp criticism. Many South Africans, already disillusioned with their government over rampant corruption, economic struggles, and constant power cuts, have accused the president of fabricating details to justify the failed military mission. South Africans on social media have been quick to mock their president, who is often nicknamed Cupcake, due to his perceived soft approach to leadership. The hashtag #Cupcake Lies has started trending, with users questioning why their soldiers were sent into a war they were not prepared to fight. Government in damage control mode. With the truth now emerging, South African officials are scrambling to contain the fallout. The military has gone silent on the real circumstances of their troops' retreat. Government-controlled media outlets have avoided reporting on Kagame's response to Ramaphosa's false claims. Officials are trying to clarify the situation, now admitting that the mission has been more complicated than previously stated. International fallout. South Africa's credibility. Damaged. This diplomatic disaster raises serious questions about South Africa's credibility on the international stage. The fact that South African forces entered the DRC under the guise of peacekeeping, only to engage in direct combat and then surrender, has damaged the country's reputation within the African Union and the broader international community. Meanwhile, Rwanda has emerged unscathed, with Kagame's firm yet composed response proving to be a masterclass in crisis management. Conclusion: a self-inflicted disaster. What started as a bold military move has ended in surrender and humiliation for South Africa. President Ramaphosa, in his attempt to shift blame onto Rwanda, has now been exposed for misleading his own people. With South African troops now waving white flags and asking for food from their supposed enemies, questions remain. Why was South Africa truly involved in this war? Did Ramaphosa knowingly mislead the public to cover up a military disaster? Can South Africa recover from this diplomatic and military embarrassment? For now, one thing is certain. Rwanda is standing firm, and South Africa's leadership is scrambling for answers. This is a developing story. Stay tuned for further updates.